Hello and welcome to the United Stand. It is the Skype Goldbridge show, which means we will be taking your calls on Skype Goldbridge. But we've entitled the show the final countdown for Jose Mourinho. It's nothing to do with the FA Cup final. It could be to do with the FA Cup final if you want to talk about that. There is a rumour going around that Romelu Lukaku will not feature in the final. He's behind schedule in relation to getting back. Should be okay for the World Cup, but doubtful for the final. Is that something that concerns you? But Gary Neville was asked about Manchester United and said the season has been progress, but it hasn't been successful because Manchester United, if they don't win a league title, it's not a successful season. This is something that United have been that's the level that United judge their season on for decades, and winning the title, if you don't win it, it's not a successful season, which I agree with, but it is progress as well. He's right there, but 1 year, the final countdown is something I've mentioned a couple of times. I believe Mourinho's got 1 year left at Manchester United. 1 year, unless he wins the title. If he doesn't win the title, I think he'll be gone. And if to win the title, he's got to change the way he plays. I don't think a Premier League title can be won with this squad playing the way it is. Maybe you disagree with me, maybe you don't. But before we take some of your calls, I'm also just going to shout out Michael Owen. I don't know what's going wrong in the world of football at the moment, because last week Paul Merson came out with something that made sense, and now Michael Owen's come out with something that made sense, and it wasn't boring. He basically said that, asked about why Alexis Sanchez isn't the Alexis Sanchez he was at Arsenal, and he said, well, name me a forward at Manchester United under Jose Mourinho that fulfills their potential, but name me a defender that most people think that isn't that good, who is exceeding their potential. And that is because the tactics, it's the way Mourinho plays. If you are a defender in a Mourinho 11, you are going to perform better because that is where the focus is. Also, if you are a Phil Jones or a Chris Smalling, you're going to be playing beyond your ability because you've got Nemanja Matic stood in front of you and you're a very well organised defensive unit because that's Mourinho's specialism. If you're a striker or an attacker, you are going to struggle. And that's basically what Michael Owen was saying. And to be honest with you, he makes a lot of sense. I think the only player that's attacking-wise that has probably improved under Mourinho is Lingard. But Lingard, as much as he's had a good season, it's been a very up and down season. I can't think of the last good performance Lingard put in, actually. Brilliant over Christmas, a few sporadic performances, but pretty inconsistent for the last 3 months. Same as Sanchez. Lukaku's probably the one, but he's had his dips as well. But let's not forget, Lukaku is the one, he's the finishing product. Right, Sandro and Fabinho not going to the World Cup, says Dan11. That is potentially a good thing because Manchester United looking to bring those in. And I did say this morning as well, I mean, I'm going to start taking your calls now, but you might want to talk about what the ideal transfer window for you is as well. Do call in about the season, do call in about whatever you want, but what's the ideal summer for you? Because I was thinking today, even if we just signed 2 players, if it was Sandro and Milinkovic-Savic, of course I think we need more, but Sandro and Milinkovic-Savic added to this squad that we've got at the moment, I think would improve us a hell of a lot, massively. Would it be enough to win us the title? I don't know, but it would improve us a lot. It would improve us a hell of a lot. Anyway, let's take our first call. Dazza, can you hear me?
Good evening, Mark.
Good evening, Dazza. How are you doing? All right?
Yeah, I'm all right. Thanks very much.
Good.
Answering the call as usual.
Yeah, quick off the draw there. So, I mean, I'll ask you a question first. Milinkovic-Savic and Sandro. I think if we brought those 2 players in, I'd be very happy. What sort of a summer do you think United need? How far are we off winning a title? If you think we can win a title next season?
Well, we're not far off from winning the title, are we? I mean, we've got the FA Cup final coming up on Saturday, and I hate to say this, but I think that if United lose the FA Cup final on Saturday, then Jose Mourinho is going to leave.
You think he'll leave?
Obviously, me thinking that. But if we win the FA Cup, I think he'll stay for an extra season or something. Because, as you said earlier, a season without a title for Manchester United is not a successful season. I mean, okay, we've had one of the best seasons ever in the Premier League since Alex Fergie retired. We've had the best manager since Alex Fergie retired. So it has been a decent season, but the only thing that's missing is trophies.
Which we could win on Saturday, hopefully.
Well, it mainly depends on what performance we put in, you know. Obviously, the game yesterday against Watford was just not a good performance at all. If we play like that, then I think we'll lose. But if we play, you know, to our full potential and maybe get Lukaku back in the squad, because without Lukaku, we seem to struggle. And obviously that's not mainly the case when Lukaku's here. Lukaku's fine when he's here. But
it is an interesting thing there, just on Lukaku, because Manchester United, we do tend to perform well against the bigger teams. You were saying there that you think that Mourinho might go if we lose the FA Cup final. I've got to be honest, I'd be absolutely shocked if he went after that. I think he's more than safe on that. But if, as I ask you now, 1 year from now, where do you think Manchester United will be in, without the fantasy? Where do you think we're going to be based on what's going to happen over the summer? You think?
Well, we don't know what's going to happen over the summer yet. There has been rumours going around, like you said, Milinkovic, Savic coming to United. There are rumours and stuff, but the newspaper make up a lot of trash these days, and so do the media. So you never know whether it's going to be happening or not. Now, this time next year, I think we could probably win the treble. But our team would need to play outstanding. We'd need to, try and win the title of Man City, which obviously Man City won the title this season, but they nearly became invincible. Mm-hmm. But obviously they didn't, did they? So 32 wins, I think that's something we could do next season. If we have another strong enough squad, I think maybe another striker. I think we could probably do well next season. Something I want to ask you, what's your verdict on the Martial situation? Because I think that with the way things are happening at the minute, with Sanchez taking the left wing role, sometimes, most of the games, I think Martial will probably leave. But I don't want that to happen, because it's not fair for Martial to have to leave the club because Alexis Sanchez is taking his position. When Sanchez plays for Manchester United, he should definitely be a right winger.
Yeah. I'm going to end the call there, Darren. I will pick up on that point, but I'm sure somebody else is going to ask about Martial. I want to get as many on as possible. But thanks for opening the show, and please do call in again.
Yeah, no problem, mate. Thank you very much.
Cheers, pal. Good points there from Darren. Thanks for opening the show. Darren, who thinks if we lose the FA Cup final, Mourinho will go. But if he wins it, we'll win the treble next year. I hope we win it. Nightmare TV says, seemingly the window opens on the 17th. Could we theoretically sign someone and have them ready for the final? Probably wouldn't happen. Just interesting to know. Thanks for the contribution, Nightmare TV. No, because they wouldn't be registered as part of this season to be able to play this season is the short answer. We could sign somebody. This is a whole new ballgame for everybody. The transfer window opens on Thursday, so United can sign people, and there are rumours there that Alexandro will be signed by the end of the weekend. So I hope we are going to sign a couple of players before the World Cup. I think it would be massively important for Manchester United to do that. So let's see what happens there, and hopefully something will happen, because I certainly don't want us to be in a situation where we're slow in what we're doing around the players that we're going to bring in, but it is a new ball game for everybody as to how we're going to do it. But the transfer window does open up on Thursday, so we'll see what happens with that. I'm going to take another call. Lots of people calling in, and we've got the live comments running as well. Let's have a look at what people are saying in the live comments. Oh God, I've lost it. Where can I get one of those United Stand mugs? I don't know, mate. I don't know. Hello, can anyone hear me?
Hello, you right?
Is that Ben?
Yeah, he's right, mate.
Yeah, good, thanks. Right, you've got 5 minutes, Ben. What are your thoughts? I'm going to throw you a question tonight. What are your thoughts on Manchester United, Jose Mourinho, and what if he's got a year left to sort this out? Can he do it? Do you think he can? And what does he need to do?
Yeah, I think he can, definitely. I mean, you look at the way he's reinventing himself, even now with Rui Ferreira going. He mentioned the other day about having assistants. That's something Guardiola's always done. He's never really had that assistant manager. He's always had those group of people behind him. And it looks like that's what Mourinho's going to do. I think, looking at the rumours, McKenna, our under-18 coach, would be perfect to step up to the first team. Be a bit of a crapper for the under-18s, but the football he's had them playing this season would be amazing. And Mourinho's never really been that manager. Fergie was a manager. He was never a coach. He always reinvented himself with the assistants. Of course, he had a plan in place, but it was always his assistants that took the training. I remember a few quotes from like Scholes and Giggs, etc. He would be the scary one, staring them down on the touchline as they were put through their paces. It's time for Mourinho to become that figure. having the guys like McKenna, Carrick, experience there, the goalkeeping coaches, the technical staff that he talks about. I think with them group behind him, and on top of that also within our squad, the shifting out that we're going to do and the players who we're going to sieve in as well, I think this summer could be a big summer for us. And I think it could end up being an amazing summer for us if we get it right. But it's all about getting it right, isn't it?
I mean, what's your feeling on that? The summer is nearly upon us. Thursday's the transfer window. I mean, are you expecting 4 or 5 players or just a couple? A lot of people are talking Sandro, Milenkovic-Savic. I just said at the start of the video, you know, I would like more than that. But if we did get those 2, I still think they would make a massive difference to us.
Yeah, well, I can easily say that 10 players like we're looking to shift out. I don't think there's one player within the 10 of the listed that I would argue about. But then that's if we get our 5 targets. We have to bring in 2 midfielders. Savic is a must, and someone more of a defensive midfielder, but can also play a good role going forward as well. A Fred, a Jorginho, someone like that would be a perfect signing. I'm so up for Sessegnon. I really am. I'd love him to sign for us. And then you've just got to sort of move yourselves forward and think, well, who will we sign in the attacking positions? We need a winger. I tell you what, mate, we could sign anyone in the world. That's the thing with United. We really could. And you know, there's a lot of people talk about Neymar, but I think everyone's forgetting United, alongside Madrid, are the only 2 clubs that could potentially pay a fee for Neymar, could potentially land Neymar for the amount of money that he is. And if United sold a few and managed to bring in a player of his calibre, don't get me wrong, PSG pay stupid money for him, and we would end up paying stupid money as well, but it wouldn't be as much as that. So I think he's not. I just think that United need to be careful in this window. We can't make any dodgy signings for big fees, but we need to make sure that we do bring in quality if we are finally going to shift out of that deadwood.
And FA Cup at the weekend, just finally, Darren didn't really commit which way he was going to go with it. Shouldn't be a problem for us. We do tend to raise it. It's not Watford or Brighton. We should be all right.
I said to my mate at work today, Chris, who's a massive Chelsea fan, he's a bit deflated today. He said there's no chance we're going to win the FA Cup. He said United it's going to be so easy for them to play in front of us defensively. He said there's no point in even turning up. And I said to him, I went, but you've got to remember that every team who plays against United have a chance. And it's true they do. United have a mistake in them. United can be solid when we go 1-0 up, but it's about getting 1-0 up. I said to my mate, if United go 1-0 up inside the first 5 minutes, we'll then defend for 85 minutes.
Well, we don't beat teams 2 or 3-0, do we? There is always a chance, like you say.
No, exactly. Mourinho's the best at that. I've always said all along, even in the Champions League campaign, I said Mourinho in one-off games is the best in the world. Unfortunately, against Seville, none of our players turned up, and unfortunately, he did get it wrong. But he's not going to get it wrong in a cup final. He hasn't got it wrong in a cup final so far. You look at his record, and you look at the way that Mourinho sets his team up. I mean, you could say the Super Cup, yeah, but then I would also say the Super Cup's a pre-season friendly, and I don't really give 2 craps about it. No. But you look at United and how we set up against Ajax. It was just perfect, wasn't it? And he knows Chelsea. He knows the state them players are in now because they've done it to him. So he's going to know how to grind out that result on the weekend, I think. If we lose on Saturday, it's going to be horrible, but I can still take some positives out of this season, and we shouldn't be too downhearted. Yes, we might have had an awful campaign since January. We finished 2nd in the league from 6th. We've improved in every single aspect, from goals conceded to goals scored, and we've got some brilliant players who are coming into their 3rd season now. And we've got to remember that this isn't the United of old, this is a new United, and if we just keep comparing this United side to the others, then we're not going to get anywhere anyway. How can we? It's like the next Arsenal manager. If people keep going on and banging on about the Invincibles, and this next Arsenal manager doesn't stand a chance, it's time for some new football. It's time to see where Mourinho is going to take us. And as you said earlier on, yeah, next season is a big season for Jose because it's now time to see the progression in play. We've seen progression in everything else but our actual football. It's now time for us to see that. And if we get it, then you can give Mourinho another 10-year contract. I don't care, because so far in stages, he has done everything he's needed to do. It's just about progressing that football now with better players, better technical staff, and to start flourishing our game. And I think we can get there, Mark. I honestly think we can get there, and I bloody hope we get there as well. Otherwise, I don't think you'll be doing what's on next season. You can't be bothered doing that. You fall asleep every game.
Yeah, I was struggling yesterday. Thanks, Ben. Really good. And nice to get so much positivity as well. We are going into the summer, and I think we need to be positive. So thanks for that, and I know you'll be calling in again soon. Cheers, pal.
Mate, thank you. Can I have a United stand mug as well, please?
Yeah, remember Alex? He's a mug.
Yeah, I love Alex. He's out there. I love him.
He's a good lad. I'll speak to you soon, pal. Thanks for calling in.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
Ta-da. Thanks to Ben there, Ben Pierce. You can follow him on Twitter. But yeah, I think positivity is very important now. I know we've had a terrible season and yesterday was bad, but I can't see us not beating Chelsea next season. And I'm just picking up on what Ben said there, and I've said it a few times myself. He just prompted it in my head there. The only progression next season is first place, and he has progressed us every single year. There is only one progression next season, and that's Premier League title winners. And if he doesn't win it, I think he'll go. So, very, very intriguing season next season. And the summer before it plays a massive, massive part in it. Mohit made a contribution saying, am I Mourinho in or out? I've always been Mourinho in. I know people say, well, you're very critical, but I think there's a lot to be critical about. The negativity is coming from the players and the manager, isn't it? The performances are very negative. So that is obviously going to feed negativity into the fan base. But I'm definitely Mourinho in for the two reasons I've always been Mourinho in. One, I think he's the best option out there at the moment. And two, he does win titles everywhere he's been. Granted, it's normally in the first 2 years, but it might be the three. He has to have the third year. Oh, dear. A bit sick in my mouth there. I'm not done that since it was about 8. God. But what I was going to say is that I wouldn't sack Mourinho at this point. I think he's got to go to the conclusion of whatever the conclusion is. I hope it's the title because that's what he's done everywhere. But if the conclusion is it's a disaster and he is sacked, then that's what I want to happen. I want the conclusion of this journey. I don't want him pulling off this journey too soon. And it may get worse and he may get sacked. But it could get better and we might win the league. And I want to see what the journey is, 100%. So let's take another caller. Michael, can you hear me?
Yeah, how you doing, Mark? How are you? Nice to speak with you.
How are you doing? All right? Not bad myself. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, well, look, I suppose I was on your show probably about a year and a half ago, and I was basically saying very clearly that we should never sign Jose Mourinho as our manager. And I would have to say, even though he has made, you could argue, some progress on the, we finished second. We've got Champions League football. We're in a cup final. I think he just has to go. And I think any Man United supporter, your previous caller was on there talking about, it's now not time to take the next step. It's not. Jose Mourinho has his philosophy on football. It's an outdated, negative one. And I think he's completely outdated. And I think for us as a club, Manchester United, the theatre of dreams, the history of the club, the way we play, we have been shocking to watch all season. We really have been very, very poor. And anybody who says otherwise, they're watching different matches to me. So I think, we can sign whatever players we want. We've seen what he did with signing Paul Pogba, who's been utterly useless all season. And I think before we start talking about signing players, we need to get a new manager. We need to get a manager who will commit to playing football the positive way. I mean, the biggest insult I can pay us at the moment, and it kills me to say it, is that Liverpool and Man City are playing the kind of football that we should be playing. And I have a brother who's a dedicated Liverpool fan. I do believe they'll win the Champions League because that's how you win football matches, is playing that kind of football. And that's the football we should be playing. And we will never play that under Jose Mourinho. So I go back to what I said about a year and a half ago on your show, Jose Mourinho out. He has to go. He just has to go. This is not how we play football, and we're not going to win anything playing like this. It's far too negative.
Monty says, what's the difference between Mourinho and Van Gaal? Which you may agree with Michael there. And Samuel says, very good caller. I mean, it is good to get different opinions. I totally agree with that. And a lot of people saying, Matt says, new manager in as soon as possible. I mean, Michael, just on that, I'd like to ask you two things, really. One, you don't think that Mourinho can turn it around then? And two, do you accept that you've got no chance of him being sacked? I mean, I can tell you now, he's not going to get the sack. He's here for another year, so you're gonna have to put up with it, I'm afraid. But you don't think he can change?
No, I don't think he can. I think he's an incredibly stubborn individual, and I used to think he was very charismatic, and I thought he was fantastic. But no, I don't think he'll change. And I just think that you asked me a question there. What's the difference between Van Gaal and Mourinho? The only difference between Van Gaal and Mourinho for me was under Van Gaal we didn't play outside our own half, except with Mourinho, sometimes we play outside our own half now. I mean, the lack of pace, the lack of any creativity is just shocking to watch. It really, really is. It's one step up from Van Gaal. Is it an improvement from Van Gaal? Yes, it is. And finishing second in the league would say that. But the football Jose Mourinho has us playing is not how Manchester United plays football. And if any Man United fan tells me otherwise, then they ain't a Man United fan, because we have to play a certain way, and we have been woeful. That is down to our coach's philosophy. It really, really is. I accept. I don't think Mourinho will be sacked, and I just wish he was sacked tomorrow and we could try and take the club forward. But yeah, I think you're right. I think we're stuck with him, and I think it's been another bad managerial appointment. We got second, we got Champions League, but we're as far away from winning the Champions League or the league as we've ever been. He's not going to be sacked. And look, it saddens me. My son is 16. He's probably listening to this right now outside, embarrassed as hell. But he absolutely feels exactly the same way as I do as we sit down to watch Man United. I just can't watch him anymore. I think Mourinho I just think he's an outdated coach with an outdated philosophy. He's got plenty of players there with attacking ability. And I just wish he'd allowed him to do that, I really do. And look, I don't know what else to say, but I think the sooner he goes, the better.
I just wanted to ask you one more thing before you do go, and your son shouldn't be embarrassed because you put your point across very well, and I know some people disagree, but a lot definitely do agree. But just to take it away from Mourinho a minute, what do you think? There is another big herring in the room, I suppose. You've got your fans, you've got the players and the style they're playing, and then you've got the tactics from the manager. But the one in total control is the board. What's your interpretation of the board in relation to this? I mean, do you think they're happy with what's going on? Do you think they're bothered? Do you think they understand? The fans clearly do. People like yourself, you're on about how United should do it. Why is this not an issue for the board? And why have they appointed 3 managers in a row that really don't fit in with what United's all about?
Yeah, I think it is a problem for the board, and I cannot believe that the likes of Sir Bobby Charlton or Sir Alex are loving this. I just can't believe that. I think it's a case of Jesus. We've sacked a couple of managers already, and we're just going to have to stick with Jose now. So I think the board will be unhappy, but I think at the end of the day, he's got us into Champions League football. That'll be a priority for them. I think I've said it 18 months ago again, and I've had friends all year completely disagreeing with me. But the sooner we offload Paul Pogba, the better, because he has been a disgrace since he's come back to Man United, and Jose brought him back. Fergie allowed him to go for a reason. Gary Neville, Paul Scholes, all of the other class of '92 have been on, including Rio Ferdinand, have been very. They've been quoted on TV saying that the reason he wasn't given a contract then was because he wasn't consistently good enough in the reserves. He felt he should have been in the first team. Clearly he shouldn't, and he left. And the biggest mistake we made was not letting him go, with bringing him back, because he has been a disgrace for Man United since he's come back. I keep getting people telling me, he's world class, he's a Ballon d'Or potential winner. Mark, I'll be 50 next year, and I'm as close to winning the Ballon d'Or as he is, and I've never played football. That's how bad Paul Pogba's been this year, and that's down to Jose Mourinho bringing him back.
Well, you're not the first one to say that about Pogba. Fantastic call, Michael, and please do call in again, because it's nice to
listen,
knock back in.
Love the show, and check in most evenings, and hopefully when we talk again, Jose will be gone, and I tell you who I'd love at Man U. I'd love Pochettino to come and manage us, because he's a positive coach with a positive outlook. We'll play attractive, attacking football. That's who we are. That's what we need.
Thanks, Michael. Fantastic.
Good luck. See you. Bye-bye.
Cheers,
Bye-bye.
pal. Thank you. Whether you agree with it or not, I think he put his point across very well. And obviously, people will know I still think Mourinho can turn it around. But, when Michael says that, he's very convincing. I was getting very worried. Daruk Lou Boy 10 says, Mark, you've been asking for a change in coaching staff. What's your opinion now that Mourinho will get new assistants? Thanks for the contribution. Mourinho said he's not having an assistant manager now. He's going to utilise the coaches he's got. Obviously, we heard this an inaccurate news that Kieran McKenna was going to be the assistant manager. He's not. What Mourinho said is he will utilise the coaches he's got around him. Could be Nicky Butt, a little bit from McKenna, a little bit from somebody else. But once Carrick's got his badges, he interprets the fact that he will be the assistant manager. So I would have hoped that we would have brought somebody in, to be honest. But I think it was time to get rid of Rui Faria. He is the man on the pitch who dictates the way we play. And I'm not sad to see him go. I've got to be honest. Manchester United is my number one concern. Virgil Hainsey says Jose could have 3 cups, Premier League title in 3 years. Thanks for the contribution. And Karen Banzai says, thoughts on Mourinho changing the coaching system? Well, thanks for that, Karen, which I just answered. Please do smash the like button. I think we've had some fantastic calls tonight. Skype Goldbridge, every Monday, 8 o'clock. It's your show. Do drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and get involved. And remember, we're going to start doing this show more than Monday now. Once the FA Cup final's out of the way, that's it. There's no matches until July in the US Tour. So we will increase the amount of Skype shows and we'll start doing 2 a week. So subscribe, drop a like on the video, get involved. And remember, every morning, 7 a.m, when you wake up, go to the United Stand. You'll have your transfer daily, Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Lots to get involved with. So don't think we're going anywhere over the summer. If anything, it goes up. And remember as well, a week tonight is 10 years since Manchester United won the 2008 European Champions League. And we will have, because I've got the DVD of the full match, Manchester United versus Chelsea, watch along. All the way through. Minute 1, extra time. It's going to be a cracking night next Monday. It's probably going to be the best game of the season, to be honest. Okay, right, let's take another call. That's what we're here to do. A few people calling in, and let's try and get Jake on. Can you hear me, Jake?
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm not too bad, thank you for having me on.
No worries. What do you want to talk about, pal?
I'd love to talk about everything that we need to do to improve next season.
Okay, I'm all ears. I mean, this is the show for me tonight. I want to know what fans think, where we're going to be next season, and what you think we need to do. So go for it, mate.
First of all, I think captaincy needs to be changed 100%. As Valencia's captain's awful. He doesn't even speak the same language. You know, I watch Real Madrid, and Sergio Ramos, when a decision goes the wrong way, he's shouting in the referee's face. When they're getting beat, he's motivating them. Valencia can't do that at all. He's a horrible player, and when I see the captain banner on him, when he vomits, I think he's awful.
It's one thing. I mean, I'll just jump in there because I know a lot of people will be saying the same. I don't get it. I mean, Mourinho had John Terry. I don't like John Terry, but probably one of the best leaders in the Premier League era. And then Mourinho comes to United and just gives the captaincy out but he gives it to who's been there the longest, basically. Fellaini's had it, Mata's had it, De Gea's had it, now Valencia's there the longest. I mean, he's just simply not a leader, and we are a leaderless team. And like you said there about Ramos, a proper leader, they can get you decisions, they can get people up. We are playing leaderless, and it is a really weird one.
Exactly. Who could? I'd love De Gea to have captaincy, but he's a very quiet guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Herrera,
for me,
maybe?
I'd probably give it. I don't actually like Herrera. I think he's crap. I hate him.
Not him, then. Yeah, but you're right, though. We are struggling. I mean, there are no leaders, really, are there? I mean, it's your call. Is there anybody other than Valencia? I suppose that's a fair point. Well, who else is there?
I'd probably give it to Sanchez or Matic. Sanchez is very passionate, and I know he doesn't speak much English, but he'd be way better in Valencia. And Matic is just a leader, in my opinion. But that captaincy does need to change 100%.
Yeah, and I suppose the reason those two wouldn't get it, and I'm sure people will say in the live comments, is because they've not been here long. But so what? You want the best leader on the pitch, don't you? What else did you want to mention, mate? Captaincy there, but obviously for next season, so a new captain.
Yeah.
Would you have a new manager, or are you happy with Mourinho?
No, I'm 100% happy with Mourinho. I don't really care about the style of football that we play. I just want to win. That gets me on to my second point, the Fellaini situation.
Okay.
I think Fellaini should stay, to be honest. But I don't think he should start. I think Fellaini is a class plan B, to be honest. You know, if we were in the the semi-final of the Champions League against Juventus, and we needed a goal. And we didn't have Fellaini. I guarantee if I was watching your watch along, you would say this is a perfect opportunity for Fellaini to come on and score. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of the game he started quite recently, and he took him off with 20 minutes to go and brought different players on. And we said it on the watch along. We said, this is the problem with Fellaini and Mourinho. It's like, I want him to go because I don't like that style of football. That's just a personal choice. But I do actually agree with you and a lot of people who say, as a plan B option off the bench, he's very, very difficult to deal with. And a lot of people will say that, opposition people who've played with him. But Mourinho seems to have this obsession with playing him as a centre defensive midfielder. I'm sure you'll agree, his strength is in the opposition box. That's where he should be.
Exactly. He was a attacking midfielder for Everton. And against us, every single time he played us, he was class, in my opinion.
He was, you're right. I do remember he used to cause us problems. He used to stand on the edge of the box, he'd get hit with balls by Leighton Baines from left back, and he'd control it like a magnet and bring other people into the game. But for us, he's in the midfield, which defies logic because that's not his position, and I don't know why we do that, because he's too slow. But I think he will stay. I've said I think he'll stay. My fear around Fellaini, just to clarify, is that he's got a lot of options now, and I think United, to make him stay, will have to promise him first team football, and that is what makes me worried, because I don't think we can win a title with him in the midfield.
Exactly. I don't like the fact that he thought he was trying to be bigger than the club, if you know what I mean, by they've made a mistake, blah 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 blah. And he is a shit player, he really is, but he is a fantastic plan B. He came on against, what was it, Arsenal, and he got the goal. So for me, I think he should stay, just not. I think he probably will start, and that is the thing. But if we could change it to him coming on as a plan B, I think that would be perfect. I'd keep him.
Okay, well, thanks for the call, Jake. Really good points, and please do call in again.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Thanks.
pal. A few people saying they think Jake's a planter, maybe a Liverpool fan. You might be being unfair about his opinions there. I mean, he's not the first person to say that about Fellaini, and he's not the first person to say about Valencia. Very accurate, very accurate. He's not a leader, and there are some United fans who are just focused on the results. And to be honest, anybody picks up on that. If I could say to you now, what do you want? Great football next season or crap football and a Premier League title? I tell you what, I'd have to take some time to think about that, because I think we need a Premier League title. I really, really do. And I know it would absolutely destroy me having to watch us play like that again next season. But if there was a Premier League title at the end of it, can we really refuse that? Do we really want to go 10 years without a title? Because that's how long the next rebuild could take. So, there's a lot to be said for that.
Just play like that again.
Paul, can you hear me? Hello?
How you doing?
I'm all right, mate. How you doing? I've got you on because I don't think we got you on last week, did we? So, how you doing and what do you want to talk about?
Jose Mourinho, I suppose. I mean, there's a lot to talk about in there. There's
a lot of people backing him tonight. Obviously, Michael didn't. He wants him gone. Dazza thinks he'll be sacked if he loses the FA Cup and will win the treble if he does. But I can't. He's not going. He's not going. If we lose on Saturday, what'll happen is there'll be a big meltdown. We'll probably have a couple of fans on the fan cams going mad. We'll do them call in and people will go mad. And then a week later we'll sign somebody and it will get forgotten. We've got no more games after Saturday. So even if we lose, it will become yesterday's chip paper very, very quickly. It'll just be a disappointment. That's all it'll be. It won't be the end of Mourinho if we lose.
No, it won't be. No, he's going nowhere. We've got him for another year for sure. And yeah, I like the positivity of some of the callers. I like to see the other side of the coin. I like to hear why people want to stay with Jose and why they want him to stick around, because they believe in him. And it's good to have an impartial view of things. But in my opinion, Jose Mourinho, slowly but surely, little by little, concession by concession, is kind of chipping away at the identity of this club, and and we're kind of accepting it. I'm getting really irritated by it because he's doing it so slowly, Mark. It's like Chinese water torture. We're like, oh, all right, he doesn't like youth. All right, we'll let that off if we get a title. All right, he doesn't play good football. All right, well, if we get a title, we'll let him off. We're defensive, right? If we get a title, we'll let him off. We'll keep Fellaini. Oh, no, but he's a good plan B if he can win us the title. He's miserable. He's divisive. It's okay as long as we win a title. You know, there's it just slowly but surely it drips away at me, and it frustrates me so much. So on the other side of the coin, I think he's just
go on. Sorry.
No, it's difficult. It's difficult to take and watch the club go in this direction, and then realizing that if we don't win a title next year, Jose's gone. If anybody thinks 3 players this year is going to change our style of football, his style of football, his entire philosophy for 20 years, they're joking. What he's going to do, he's going to solidify things even more as much as he possibly can and try and grind out the title. And us beating Man City next season is so unlikely that after next year, where are we? If we've got rid of Fellaini, I mean, we keep Fellaini, we've got rid of Martial, we bring in 30-year-olds. I think I made the point last time. I hate going over the same topic, but where are we in a year's time? Rudderless, managerless, ageing squad. We talked about Louis van Gaal's philosophy of 2 years, and the players' mindsets having to get out of that, and that takes a year. Well, Jose's got the same sort of mindset. So where are we in a year if Jose Mourinho doesn't win the title?
I mean, I can see, and I'm sure a lot of people can see where we are in a year. I'm sure you can see as well, Paul, that if he doesn't win the title next year and it's the same football and he is sacked, we are left with Fellaini, like you say. We're left with Matic and Sanchez, who are 30. We're left with Valencia and Young, who are coming up for 34. We're left with people like Phil Jones, Chris Smalling, who've never been good enough. We're left with Pogba, who'll probably go because he'll have done 3 years. You've got Rashford, if he's still here, not developed. You've got Martial gone, Luke Shaw gone. Mata and Herrera touching 30 as well if they're still here. Youngsters who've not been given a chance. I mean, you've got a squad that's basically at the end of its road and nothing coming through. And and maybe Lukaku will go as well because he'll be like, I can go better. I've scored goals 2 seasons. It's very dangerous where we're at. And it's also interesting what you said about the Chinese whispers, because I was at a funeral today. It wasn't for Manchester United. It was for a family member, but was talking away afterwards, as you do, trying to change the topic, talking about football. And somebody said to me exactly the same thing. They said, you know what? It's the apathy that's grinding United down. It's like the fans, you don't want to be like Arsenal Fan TV, but the fans just accept one thing after the other. He's very clever what he's doing. He begs Fellaini to stay numerous times, and people go, that's ridiculous, but then they forget it. The Martial thing, 22, can be a fantastic player. We're getting rid of him, even though it's the United way. Oh yeah, we'll move on. What he said after Sevilla in the press conference, basically saying United should be used to that. Yesterday, dead rubber game. This is the only season in United's history, well, in recent history, we've never given a debut to a youth player. And for everyone who's saying McTominay, he had a debut last season, not this season. So there's no debuts. He didn't use any youth yesterday when there was no reason not to. And we just accept it and we go on and on and on. And the list is, like you say, it's stacking up of all the things he's doing that are, not to mention the biggest one, the style of football.
That's what I mean. That's why I have to call in sometimes, because I've got so many frustrated topics that I want to talk about, and I write a list out, honest to God, and I could talk to you for 2 hours on Skype. I really could, just carrying on. People probably already want me to get off now, but in this last press conference, and in every press conference, he says something diversive or something to antagonise or something to patronise or something to condemn or something weird. Every single press conference, and the last one was, I don't look at the players, I look at the person. That says a lot to me. That's because if you look at it, if you get a good player in, an excellent player, you can teach him the philosophy of Man United, and you can instill into him confidence, and you can give him a purpose, and you can give him drive and make him committed and make him a better player. If you bring in a tough nut person who's got a strong will and iron temperament, you can't teach him to play football. It doesn't work that way around. But that's his mentality. He'd rather have a strong-willed guy run through brick walls than someone with talent he has to nurture and put an arm around and say, you are good, you can be better, I will help you. He doesn't do that.
It irritates me just because we've got the World Cup coming up.
It's anti-United again. Everything's like, and it's Chinese water torture. Drip, 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 drip. Concession, concession, concession. it all gets forgotten about. But by the end of it, we all look back and say, we're lost. We're lost. What are we now? We're maybe a team without a title and one without an identity, and we have to scrape it all back. And how long does that take, Mark?
You never know. You never know, Paul. This time next year, we might be Premier League title winners, and everyone will be like, wow. Because it would be miraculous. I do agree with that. It would be.
For me, mate, unfortunately, I'd love to win a title, and I'll be buzzing if we do. But I still think we'll be in a situation where we won't be able to keep that consistency to get another one, because we'll just grind it out. I mean,
he hasn't got the players to do what
he
wants to do.
Be a fluid process of us.
He hasn't got the grind out mentality players, but they're not United players.
Mark, he's had 2 years. Yeah, we haven't progressed enough in 2 years. None of our players in 2 years have got any better, and none of the players that we've bought have got any better. Simple. Why did we buy Lindelof, Mark? 37 million quid, and you said today on your morning programme we can loan him out to develop him. You're joking? He's 24. He played 2 entire seasons in Portugal for Benfica, and he was excellent. We bought him because he was a ball playing centre back who could spray the ball about and pass the ball out of defence. So what do? We bench him because we don't play that type of football. We give him 1 game in 10. He doesn't perform very well. We forget about him, and we say he's not good enough. How the hell do we know if he's not good enough? He's not had three games in a row. Why did we spend £37 million on a central defender who we don't play? I mean, no players are getting better. Youngsters are not being given a chance. Our purchases have been poor and short term. I could go on, Mark, so cut me off.
Well, Paul, I always appreciate your calls, but maybe go and have a nice hot bath and, whiskey or something like that.
I'll have a beer, mate.
Yeah, have a beer. Thanks for calling in, pal.
Cheers, pal.
Cheers, mate. Look, you know what? That's the other side of the coin, isn't it? We've got your positivity of people like Ben, and then you've got people like Michael and Paul who are, almost at despair. But what I would say is, look, he is here for another year. Let's see what happens. And, we'll be there, won't we? We're there together, and whichever way it goes, we'll react to it, and we'll have to deal with it. So smash a like on the video. Virgil Hainsey says, what if Mourinho wins titles and leaves an aged squad needing a complete overhaul again? Fergie 2.0, but worse, because young talent will be underdeveloped or gone. If we've got a title at it, some people might say we'll live with that because it's like restarting the clock. But just a point there that Paul said. That's why I love the Skype show, because there'll be little bits that tweak something in my head that I'll think during the day that I'll always forget for the show. And Mourinho has said this himself. He said it a year ago before the Europa League final. He said, I'm not very good at putting arms around players. I'm not very good at that. I like people who run through brick walls, and this is it. And obviously the case in point with that is Anthony Martial. Because Anthony Martial and Luke Shaw are players who need arms around their shoulder. And they don't prosper under Jose Mourinho because he doesn't like that sort of person. And I hadn't heard that quote that Paul said, that Mourinho had said, it's not about the player, it's about the person. I'm getting a bit nostalgic. The World Cup's coming up, really looking forward to it, which is weird because I hate international football, but I used to love it. And the World Cup always draws me in. And I'm watching on Amazon Prime at the moment, halfway through it, One Night in Turin, which is all about the 1990 World Cup, Bobby Robson, what a manager he was. And that's the first World Cup I remember, 1990, so I'm very nostalgic about it. I'm watching it. And Gascoigne features in it. Now, Gascoigne, for somebody, I was around, when Gascoigne came on the scene, I was probably 7 or 8, and he was an amazing player. A tortured soul, and pissed it up the wall, quite literally, but a fantastic player. Absolutely shits all over Paul Pogba. If you think Paul Pogba's world class, Gaza would tear him apart. And the great thing about Gaza was he could dribble past anyone, he could score goals, he can take free kicks, he can take corners, and he can put a bloody hard tackle in. He was a fantastic player. If Paul Gascoigne was at Manchester United now, Mourinho would just sell him tomorrow, because Paul Gascoigne was the archetypal arm round the shoulder, there, Paul, to get the best out of him. If you went down the hard road with Paul Pogba, I'm dropping you, this, that and the other, he'd be out on having 50 pints, this, that and the other, up yours, doing stupid things. So, that's the case in point. There's no point talking about Martial or Luke Shaw, because there'll be Manchester United fans who are like, they need to do more, they're too soft, they're lazy, they're this, they're that. What you do is, when Mourinho admits that he doesn't like putting arms around people's shoulder, you go to the top shelf and you go, right, where's examples of players who needed arms around their shoulders? Paul Gascoigne, straight away. Now, I don't know Messi. I don't know Ronaldo. I think Ronaldo is quite a tough player because he's played under Mourinho. Messi, I don't know. Maybe Messi needs an arm around his shoulder. But there will be top shelf world-class players who, some of them can run through brick walls and are very strong. Some of them need an arm around their shoulder. Some of them need the hairdryer treatment. But that's life. That's the world. And I think Mourinho boxes himself off from talent because they need an arm around their shoulder. And it's wrong, because there are examples of absolute world-class talents out there who wouldn't prosper if they didn't have managers who put their arm around the shoulder. And a lot of people said about Gascoigne, it's such a shame he didn't come to United under Sir Alex Ferguson, because Ferguson would have kept him away from all the bad things, all the drinking and everything like that, like he did with Giggs, and he would have nurtured him and put his arm around his shoulder. He would have made him brilliant, like he did with Cantona. So there we go. There we go. Fantastic show. Do drop a like on the video for everyone who's called in. Really, really enjoyed it. We're going to definitely do more of these. Always on a Monday, but we're doing more. Lots to build up towards the Chelsea game as well. It feels a long way at the moment, doesn't it? Saturday, but Monday will soon be Tuesday. Transfer show at 7 a.m. tomorrow as well. Thanks everyone for watching. Really, really enjoyed that show tonight. Been looking forward to it all day. It just seems like a long gap between shows today. So really enjoyed it. And I will see you all very soon. Thanks for watching. Smash a like for the callers and the live comments. Brilliant as ever. I'll speak to you soon.